encouraged should Democrats be? Is there a danger of them actually being kind of too euphoric?
Yeah, I've been talking about this for some time. Look, she has made extraordinary progress. We were all in Milwaukee a month ago, and, there was euphoria there in a sense that this race was over, that they were going to win by a landslide, perhaps sweep in big majorities in the House and Senate, and things have changed dramatically. But this is still a very competitive race. If the election were today, I'm not sure who would win. And I think it may well be President Trump because it's an electoral college fight.
Right.
And in those battleground states.
Yeah, we were looking at national numbers
right.
at the top of this program. It's misleading.
And I've said several times here that, for a Democrat to win those battleground states, they have to have a significant lead in the electoral college. Remember, Joe Biden won by 7 million votes nationally last time, and a margin of 45,000 votes or 44,000 votes in the three closest battleground states combined. So she's right to be telling people it's good to be enthusiastic. That enthusiasm is really, really important for the Democratic Party, but you have to turn that into energetic action in order to win the election. And I think that's going to be part of what you hear here.
When it comes to COVID, do they believe that when it comes
to... So who's been telling you that? Who's been telling you to watch out for these polls? I have. I have been telling you. The national polls don't mean diddly. Oh, Harris is up by 3. Trump's up by 2. It doesn't matter. Unfortunately, where this country is right now, this entire election is going to come down to a handful of states apparently. That's what it looks like. That's what it seems like every election. Just a handful of states actually matter. Democrats, they've got their ground game and they do their shenanigans and all that kind of stuff and get people out there to vote and do other kind of dead people get the vote and all kinds of stuff because those 6 or 7 states matter the most. Period. That's it. So with what I've seen over the last basically 72 hours, it just makes me wonder as I look into all this, how Americans can possibly be even remotely thinking about voting for Kamala Harris. I just don't see it. I just personally don't see it. I've talked to many friends, family members, and I'm like, are you down with this? Are you seriously down with this? And they're like, no, I don't get it. So either people are really, really messing with the numbers at these polls, which I think they are, or we've already lost. Because if this many people, if this arena and the convention, everything just goes so well, we're in trouble. I'm ringing a bell right now. I feel Trump's going to win in a landslide. My concern is, what has happened to this country? How can there be half of the people in this country looking at this crap? And, when I start seeing things on CNN, where they're starting to basically question things. And yet I look over here and it's completely different. But let's continue with this.
They do. Right? He has a higher approval rating than Joe Biden, so definitely they do. Yes.
But also, to give Scott a little bit of grace here.
You're being very...
A lot of grace today. I love it.
Quite a lot.
You all act like people don't believe Trump did a better job than what's happening now. It is obvious in every poll. They do believe that.
If that was the case, he'd be leading the polls. But can I give you grace and you accept
he would have won re-election.
No. You just slow down.
See, they rely on these polls. Polls mean everything to these pundits. Not real people, polls. They could go out into a party and actually talk to people and go to a supermarket. No, I don't want to do that. No. You saw what Don Lemon did yesterday. If you haven't seen what happened with Don Lemon, let me know. I'll get that for tomorrow. But Don Lemon decided he was, I'm Don Lemon. I used to work at CNN. And I'm going to go out and talk to the people in the street and ask them point blank, what do you guys think? Don should have stayed in the studio and did like this guy and listened to a poll because people told him, Trump.
Thank you. I was like, just accept it. So what I was going to say is that Kamala Harris has stuff to prove in the debate, too.
Sure.
I think that there is
And before the debate, frankly.
Exactly. See, that voice you heard pipe in there was Abby Phillip, the host of this show on CNN. And CNN's starting to ask the right questions. Hey, listen, you're still dodging people, and even this black guy, what's his name, Kwame something, he's a nut. But even he's starting to say, yeah, she's going to have to answer some questions. Yeah, she's going to have to answer a whole lot of questions.
Well,
She
yeah,
has
I mean,
not,
we're going to get
she
a.
is not engaged yet.
She has engaged.
No, she's not. She has not had
only been on the show for 3
she's
weeks.
not engaged.
Just became our nominee.
This
I mean,
is the
so when is
longest
she
3
gonna
weeks.
take
She's
all
not
months?
engaged
No.
in.
A week.
So now you're seeing what the new talking point is. I saw that with James Carville as well. Oh, she hasn't been a nominee that long. Oh, she needs some more time to get everything together before she can start talking to the press, as though that mattered, as though you couldn't come out. You've been the vice president for 3.5 years, and you can't even talk to the press because, it's too new.
For the election? In pressing interactions on anything, really.
Well, no, that's not true.
So,
Actually, I mean, that's absolutely.
That's going to be an issue.
First of all, that's not an issue. I believe.
How do a black woman, tells you it's an issue? It's her show. And you turn around and come back with, that's not an issue. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. No matter how many times you scream it from the rooftops, it's an issue.
That the fact that the mainstream media and many people in D.C. are consumed with the fact that she won't sit down with them or do media interviews has posed a problem for them. Because what we've seen, poll after poll, individual after individual, voter after voter, is that when she's out in Wisconsin, when she's out in Arizona, when she's out in Pennsylvania and actually talking to voters, that matters a lot more. And I think that we're seeing the inherent value of that. But what I was attempting...
Lies, lies, more lies. Hey, she's at a rally, so of course that's indicative of everything. Even though we've got, twerkers and folk rock bands that draw people to their concerts, but when she goes and talks on her own, she's got about 100 people there.
One thing to say is that I was actually going to give Scott a little bit of grace. I'm coming back to that grace while I still have it in my heart. Bishop Jakes is be very proud of me at this moment. Preach. Thank you. Is that Kamala Harris actually has questions to answer as well. She has to be able to answer why was she, with fracking or Medicare for all or health care, all of these things. That's why September 10th is so important to her as well.
Of course, So
what you're seeing right away is that they're deflecting to the debate. September 10th, she's going to have, 3 weeks to come up with some answers here. She's going to zing him. She's going to really get Trump with some zingers, something like the little yellow school bus and all that kind of crap she talked. It's still staged. We don't know what the moderators are going to ask. What are they going to talk about? Baby disposal, the climate. They're not going to talk about the hard stuff that people actually want to hear. Come on, be serious. You can't sit down for an interview. You shouldn't be president.
Harris hurricane lasts is another thing. Kamala Harris is not indestructible. She has served as an undistinguished, nearly invisible vice president.
This is CNN.
There appears no accomplishment she can point to for her most important responsibility addressing the origin of the border crisis. Second, she picked a nice guy from Minnesota in Tim Walz, but he might turn out to have as many warts as J.D. Vance. And I don't mean the allegation of stolen valor. He spoke sloppily in that instance, but I don't think there's much there.
This guy obviously has never served. Understand, when you're talking about the battleground states, the states that are going to, basically result in whoever wins this election, you got a lot of veterans in those states, in those blue collar states that aren't going to be too happy with what Mr. Horseshake has said.
But the CNN K-File report of his congressional campaign deceit over his DWI is a real and embarrassing issue. As usual, the cover-up was worse than the crime. It's still too soon to know how much she might regret not picking Josh Shapiro. And third, thus far, Harris has had a free ride. She's not given any media interviews, hasn't faced voter questioning. When asked recently, she said that she would give an interview by the end of the month.
I'm looking at the calendar. She's got 10 days, and now they're talking not until the debate. So they keep pushing that off. There was supposed to be an interview by the end of the month. Now we're not sure we can get to that in time.
She said that on August the 8th. No doubt she wants more time on the clock to prepare answers as to why she's flipped on health care, fracking, weed, and the death penalty, to name just a few. Sooner or later, She's going to be held accountable and face pressure that she has thus far largely avoided. Just yesterday, her first substantive economic policy proposal, it received mixed reviews. Bernie Sanders loved it.
Mixed reviews. And Bernie is the guy that you think you want to go to for a positive review on price fixing? No, it basically got panned by everybody, including most of the media.
He called her idea a strong progressive agenda, but the Washington Post said that her proposals were gimmicks. CNN's analysis said that her plan could create more problems than it solves. You'd think that she'll enjoy another week of positive coverage amidst the DNC, which will feature 3 Democratic presidents, but with passions inflamed about Israel and Gaza, there is an air of unpredictability as to what will happen in Chicago.
By the way, those nuts have breached the security fence, and like the orcs in Lord of the Rings, who knows what's going to happen tonight.
As I like to say, still to come, events we could never foresee, and individuals whose names that today we don't even know.
We know that there's a great return on investment. When we increase home ownership in America, what that means in terms of increasing the tax base, not to mention property tax base, what that does to fund schools, again, return on investment. I think it's a mistake for any person who talks about public policy to not critically evaluate how you measure the return on investment. When you are strengthening neighborhoods, strengthening communities, and in particular the economy of those communities, and investing in a broad-based economy, everybody benefits, and it pays for itself in that way.
Actually, I guess it doesn't pay for itself. See, this show tonight, and I really do mean this, is whether or not this woman is throwing the election. Was this entire thing about Kamala Harris being able to raise a ton of money, put it into some sort of parachute, and jump off the plane into the Grand Canyon with a whole bunch of cash. Because nothing makes any sense anymore. Nothing whatsoever. And I'm just going to ask you a question right now. Serious question. Are you in a position to pay more taxes? The place that you work, are they in a position to pay more taxes? In the history of the United States, how many people, how many candidates, other than maybe Bernie Sanders, have raised their hand and said, we're going to raise taxes? And then those people who did raise their hand and say, we're going to raise taxes, how many of them won? I think that's a real small amount of people. And that's because it's insane. It's political suicide to go into an election and say, I want to raise your taxes, or I want to raise your cost of living. And she's actually doing that. Scout's honor. That she may be too stupid to know what she's doing, but she's actually doing it. And what I mean by that is, you heard the crazy thing about price fixing and all this stuff, and how she was going to make sure that the government determined the price of your foods. And it was panned literally by every economist, CNBC, everybody. Washington Post said it's a gimmick. They also said it was just basically nuttery. Nobody stood behind that proposal and said, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let's go ahead and put the government in charge of your food supply. So, today, in addition to saying she wants to control the food, in addition to saying this thing should be all, taken care of, it's going to pay for itself, she lied again. And I'm amazed that people are okay with it. In case you don't know, Kamala Harris, through whatever spokesperson, because she didn't get in front of a microphone, said she wants to raise corporate taxes to 28%. So let me just explain this to you. On this side, you want to control the price of food. Hey, listen, we're going to make sure you're not gouging everybody. And so right now, we're only going to allow you to charge $5 on the Oreos. That's what I'm gonna do. No. In fact, I don't even want it that high. I'm gonna move it down to $3. $3 is the cost of Oreos, but it costs me more to import it and put it on the shelves and have people unload the trucks. I'm not gonna make any money on it. That's what I'm gonna do. Oh, and by the way, I'm also gonna raise your corporate taxes to 28%. Understand what this means. My cost of goods is going to be contracted by Kamala Harris. And if I do anything on this side to, possibly raise the price of things, which I can no longer do, you're also going to take more of my money. I can't raise the price, and you're going to take more of my money. I'm stuck with the $3 Oreos, and I can't, you're going to take more of my money. Who, other than other communists, would be okay with that? I mean, this came up today, and it says, Kamala Harris proposes corporate tax hike to 28%. Kamala Harris, the Democratic nominee for president, has proposed raising the corporate tax rate from 21% to 28%. This policy, she says, aims to ensure that large corporations and millionaires and billionaires contribute more to public funding. Why? Because, it's going to pay for itself. Partially rolling back the tax cuts implemented during the Trump administration. This would be the first increase in the corporate tax rate in 40 years. 4 decades. She is going to, and 7% increase is not small potatoes. For someone who just yesterday said it's going to pay for itself, has come out today and said, well, actually not. I'm going to have to take some more of your money. Now, that sounds fantastic. That, if you're a communist. And some of you may be saying, well, General Mills and Walmart and some of these companies, it's only 7%, more for them. Really? Show me in her statement where it says just, certain corporations. Meaning, if you have a business, any business, you have a lawn service, more than likely you're running that through an LLC or a corporation. You're going to get hit with 7% more taxes if she has her way. Across the board, everybody's going to pay more taxes. For what? Just to give her money? And you're okay with that? You're okay with your company? You're okay with your boss's company having to pay more? Guess what's going to happen? Corporations are in business to make money. If a corporation isn't making money, guess what the first thing goes? People. If the corporation can't afford to keep, all this staff, they have to, basically get rid of people because, business isn't good. So, in that regards, this pops up. General Motors is laying off over 1,000 salaried software service employees. 1,000 people. Gone. Just like that. You're about to see more and more and more of those stories happening if she were to be elected. And of course, the nuts over here who don't mind painting their hair purple and disposing of babies and all the other stuff, getting their junk snipped and, free Palestine and all that stuff, they're okay if the man has to pay more, not realizing the scarf they wore around their neck, the phone that they're taking videos with, the bricks that they're throwing, all came from a company who is now going to have their taxes raised. All of that. How is this possible? How is it possible that this woman would be okay with this? How would anybody be okay with this? These are her first two things out the box. I'm going to, fix prices on food. I'm going to control that, and we're going to tax you more. But guess what's even better? I'm not even going to do an interview and talk about it. Nope, I'm just going to post it and run. You need to just deal with it. And so, of course, crazily, I mean, it was instantaneous, the reaction on X. So, Mario Nawfal here says, this marks her first major proposal to raise revenues. I love how they say that, revenue, like they're making money, for her presidential agenda. Harris's campaign spokesman James Singer said this move aims to ensure billionaires and big corporations pay their fair share. What have I been telling you guys for the longest time? There is no definition of fair share. There will never be a definition on fair share. Because if they gave you a definition and they met that benchmark, they would no longer be able to keep saying, pay your fair share. It doesn't exist. It's a dream. Fair share is as much as we want to take from you. We're just going to keep taking it from you. The proposed rate would partially roll back Trump's 2017 tax cuts. As Kamala unveils more of her governing vision, please, no more, Republicans are expected to challenge the proposal, making control of Congress crucial for its passage. That's the saving grace here. That even if somehow they installed her as president, I doubt she's going to take the House and the Senate. There's no way people are going to say, I want to pay more taxes. Incredible. Harris would produce the second highest corporate tax rate in the entire OECD. Okay, let me just let you guys know what this is, because the OECD, and that's kind of important for you to know. Let me just go here to the, it's how can I say this? It's the G20 and most of the big developed countries around the world. Does that work? Can we just say that? Yeah, let's just go with that. The rest of the OECD has been cutting corporate tax rates because the tax kills investment and growth and drives investment abroad. Revenue effects are modest, meaning you're not going to get more, except you're going to get corporations who decide to leave the country. I'm going to go do business over there because it ain't worth it doing here. Corporations will survive. Corporations are there to make money. They're going to find the path of least resistance. And if it's not America, we'll go someplace else. And of course, the corporate tax is passed on to workers, investors in their 401ks, and consumers. It's never going to come out of the CEO's pay or anyone else's pay in a corporation. Even the economists, not known for being free market advocates of big business, acknowledge that corporate income taxes are the most harmful thing for growth, as they discourage the activities of firms that are most important for growth: investment in capital and productivity improvements. You cannot have higher wages without business investment, and that requires competitive tax rates. Long story short, you're screwed. I'm screwed. If you work for somebody and they're now going to get hit with an additional 7% tax, and I bet you it's going to be higher, she'll keep going. They're going to find the path of least resistance and say, yeah, we're going to start relocating our employees to Mexico or El Salvador or wherever where we can pay less. And we don't have to pay that tax until we bring that money back into the U.S. So it's okay. And then you're going to get, hey, honey, you know what? I think we're going to go buy a mansion in, Dominican Republic and go ixnay on this American thing. We got to get. People with money make moves. They don't just sit there and take the ass whooping that a government's going to put on them. Not going to happen. I think we need more revenues, but driving the corporate tax rate to among the OECD's highest is totally self-defeating policy and would raise less revenue than alternative tax changes. It doesn't make any sense. Trump wants to cut the corporate tax rate to 20. Kamala wants to raise it significantly. Corporations now should be rushing to donate to Trump. There's your contrast. We are looking at one side that says we want to gig you as hard as we possibly can. And on the other side, we have a guy saying, I want to cut your taxes. I want to make business better, which allows you to hire more employees, which allows you to make more money. This entire communist approach of this clown comrade Kamala, is to take more of people's money to enrich the government and to basically imprison United States citizens and non-citizens. Because if I control what you eat and I can control how much money you make, I'm pretty much in charge of you. You serfs out there. We're going to make it this way so that you guys can't prosper the way that you're used to prospering. So my question just goes back to that. Who wants that? Seriously, who wants to pay more taxes? If you for an instant think that she's not going to go after the personal income tax, you're out of your mind. She's not doing any interviews. She's lobbing these things out there and see what happens when it hits the ground. Does it blow up? And now the first one blew up when she talked about the price fixing, and now immediately this one's going to blow up. No, nobody is going to want this except for commies. It's just not going to happen. I mean, let me take some of your comments. You guys tell me. You guys want this Biden proposal, his tax rate, and Forbes did a full article on how it'll affect everyone. Yeah. Thank you, Michelin. Thank you very much for that. We do not want a repeat of gas lines and food rations. Well, who are these people that are supposedly in this 50%, 48% who are voting for this? Did our colleges and universities turn these people into complete morons? It seems so. And hippies? I mean, you actually have to be the kind of person who is gladly walking into the firing squad or the guillotine going, yeah, this should be okay. Anyway, I might make it out. No, there's no escaping the guillotine. There's no escaping the fire squad. You're done. Your country's done if this happens. Democrats are the new communists. And I think at this point, Trump needs to just come out with it. Just that's it. Forget the names. Forget, people like, you need to stick on policy. Forget policy. At this point, you got a choice. You either want to be a communist or an American. That's it. Where she's headed, how she's acting, is like a dictator already. She hasn't got nothing to show for it. She's not talking to the press. She's deciding when and if she'll talk to them. She's floating out proposals to see how people react. Yeah, I'm going to do price fixing. Yeah, I'm going to raise taxes. And then when they do put the camera on her, it's blah, 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 blah. She can't talk. Completely can't talk. There's no way a bulk of Americans want this shit show, and it has to be even less in these blue-collar communities and states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. GM just laid off 1,000 workers. GM in Michigan just laid off 1,000 workers, and you think that Kamala Harris is your way to prosperity? My God. She's speaking allegedly on Thursday at the DNC, but she's not speaking to people. She's speaking to a crowd, and she'll be looking right here at the teleprompter and making sure she reads every single word, and then she'll give the wave and off the stage. She's not being confronted. She hasn't had to be confronted, and the only way she's going to get confronted, seemingly at this point, is for the moderator of the debate to say, what in the hell are you talking about price fixing? And what are you talking about with this new taxation thing you want to do? And by then she'll have some coined answer and some zinger. Well, people like Donald Trump, convicted felons and rapists and whatever else you want to say, they're billionaires and millionaires, and they need to pay a fair share. For once, Trump team, if you guys are watching this, please do this. Please come back with a retort. And that retort should be, can you right now, Kamala, define fair share? Somebody, somewhere, some reporter, anyone seeing this, next time somebody says fair share shit, ask them to define fair share. They never, ever will. We've been hearing it for years, and I look it up in the dictionary, and there's no line that says, oh, your fair share is X percent. No, doesn't say that. Doesn't say that in any book, any manual, anywhere. It's a favorite talking point of Democrats that they never get called out on. And I would love for Trump to just look at her and go, can you define fair share? We'd all love to know what fair share is. Because they're never going to stop taking money from the American people. Never going to stop. Tyson, yeah, she's got to go. At this point, it's absolutely crazy. Let's see, I really love how you break everything down, Barry. I shared your poll podcast with several people. Thank you very much. And the whole thing with breaking it down, I actually watched the news today. After we got off our afternoon show, I actually went and watched the news, and I'm like, they don't talk to people anymore. They had one of Kamala's spokespersons on, and he said some crazy stuff. And they said, "Oh, thank you for showing up today, and good luck tonight." Are you not going to ask him about what the hell he just said? Are you not going to ask him, hey, how come Kamala's hiding? You're not going to ask him? No. And then, of course, some of you know they cut the feed on Trump's earlier speech. News sucks. It absolutely sucks because they're not telling you what you really need to know. Harris is one breath away from being installed as president. Yeah. I talked about that the other night, and I'm like, she might actually be 25th Amendment, resign, whatever he does, she become president. If they get really desperate, she's probably going to become the president. It's crazy. Fair share is whatever they decide. And I'm concerned that at this point, people have gotten complacent with that. You know it. I know it. Other people here in the chat understand it. Even the trolls know it. It's a fake number. Doesn't mean anything. All it means is whatever we want to make it mean. Right now, she's saying 28%. She wakes up February. You know what? Yeah, let's make it 35. Yeah, 35 sounds good. Because we need to up the fair share. It's no longer fair anymore. There is no definition of it anywhere, and people just accept it, which drives me crazy. Fair share for somebody who makes 50 grand a year is different than fair share for someone who makes 100 million a year. So why don't we just have a 10% flat tax and be done with it? Don, you make too much sense. Too much sense. By the way, if we did a 10% flat tax, then it's not fair because, little Johnny in the hood is going to be paying 10%, but his 10% is only $100, whereas Joe yacht owner, his 10% is he still has 90% all kinds of cash left over to do what he wants to, and that's not fair because we all need to end up in the same place, right? You think she's kidding? Her videos are out there. She has absolutely said what she intends to do, and I find it odd that people just think, let's wait for a press. Forget the press conference. Don't wait for the press conference. Nail her now. Just label her. Forget the press. Why are we waiting? Why are politicians waiting for Kamala Harris to come and answer? You've got tons of video. I don't want fracking. I want everyone to be in the same place. I did this. I want that. Okay, then that's who you are. I don't need to do an interview with you. Why are people just going ahead and running with stories? Hey, Kamala Harris is a communist. Straight up. Make her change the story. Don't wait for her to compose the story. It's very, very simple. There's so much information out there about her. Why would you wait until she deems it necessary to answer a question instead of just writing the damn story? Putting it on a program. This woman is a communist. It's straight up. She's told you she's a communist. In fact, the clips that we've shown here and other people have shown, they don't even get shown on the news. How many people know that she said that thing about we all need to end up in the same place, even if we didn't start from the same place? How many people know when she said, I'm going to take the patents from companies? We just need to have the will. We just need to go ahead and take it. She said that. You invented a widget. You made some money for you, your company, and your family. And she said on tape, we're just going to snatch that patent, was her exact words. Why is that not just a story? Why can't you just put a story out? Communist Kamala Harris even wants to take your patents away. Don't wait. Put the information out there. Media, you got all the cameras, you got all the staff. Put it out there. But you won't because you're in the tank. It's not until you start feeling like you guys are in trouble that things might change. And I think they're hoping for that, but they're still afraid for some reason. So this afternoon, Trump said this in his interview, and I'm just wondering, when you look at if people actually see it, when you look at the contrast in terms of what he says right here versus what she has said, it's so clear who you should be voting for if you have any sense about you.
Well, I was the one that did the child tax credit, and I do support it, and I want to have it. But we're going to
$5,000, as J.D. Vance suggested?
We have 2 forms, even 3 forms, and as you know, it gets negotiated with Congress. But we're doing the maximum. My daughter Ivanka was very involved in that, if you remember. She wanted it more than anybody. She understood it better than anybody, wanted it more than anybody. And the answer is yes, we will take care of children in this country.
If she wanted to steal his tax credit idea, then he should come out with another idea and make her react to it. Come out now and say, you know what, we're gonna lower personal income tax down to about 15%. Because we're going to eliminate all these governmental agencies, and we don't need that kind of revenue. Just come out and say it.
We're going to take care of our seniors. We're going to have no tax on Social Security for our seniors. We're going to have no tax on tips, which was sort of stolen from us, as you know, by Kamala. But we're going to take care of our people.
We don't need lectures on the economy from a candidate pushing communist price controls. Kamala has no idea what the hell she's doing.
That's what I want to hear. There are too many people out there right now, too many limp-wristed men and too many worried women. Oh, he shouldn't hit back against her. You know, he needs to stay on point with policies. That is a policy. If you're moronic and don't understand, I don't want to pay more taxes than I should to the government. 2021, now you want to move to 28? Here's a tip for you. This might really blow your mind. Most big companies won't even pay that. This is all going to hurt the little business. Big companies, unless she talks about, and that might be her next thing, unless she talks about changing the tax code, which we haven't heard yet. She's just talking about moving the rate. Unless she's talking about changing the tax code, it doesn't matter. It's going to hurt the little guy. And that's what people don't report in the news. If you're Walmart, you've got a entire floor or two of tax attorneys who are going to go in and find every single freaking loophole you can personally find. Every single one. John, the swimming pool cleaner guy, doesn't have that. And with the extra 87,000 plus IRS agents, you're screwed. Because if they walked into Walmart, first of all, stay out here at the front desk. I'm going to call the legal department. Legal department comes downstairs. What can I help you with? Well, we're here to do this. Okay, well, Section 157 says you need to have this, but oh, okay, we'll be back. They come into your shop, your automotive repair business, and the agents show up. You're not going to have that lawyer to, come downstairs, come out the back room. No, they're going to come in your office there and get cozy. If you don't know tax avoidance, which is completely legal, see, there's these two words that people often get mixed up. I want you to really focus on these two words. Tax evasion means you're going to basically do something illegal to evade paying taxes. Tax avoidance isn't just legal, it's encouraged. You need to position yourself that you can avoid as much of a tax liability as possible. There's a big difference there, and they never seem to point that out in any political thing I've ever seen. And you can ask your lawyer, what's the difference between those two terms? Tax evasion and tax avoidance. A good, prudent business person is jumping all in the tax avoidance pool, doing all kinds of things that make sense and are legal according to the tax code. I worked with a billionaire, and I used to watch different things he did. I'm like, okay, no, I didn't know you could do that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Really, you can do that too? Yep. Oh, okay. So you're telling me at the end of the year, I can buy a truck through the business and I can deduct all of that because that's legal? That's avoiding tax? Yeah, you can do that. I can move my son or daughter and make them an officer in a company and do this and do that. I can do that? Yeah. I can take certain trips and write those off of my taxes. Yeah, you can do that too. I can't even go through the litany of things available for you to avoid taxes. I encourage you to begin living your life understanding what you need to do to avoid taxes. How many of you go to a restaurant, go out to eat with your family, and don't bring that receipt home? How many of you fly someplace and don't bring those receipts back with you? If you're using a 1040 form and you're not doing schedules and putting everything out, they're taking your money. And even if you're retired or living on a fixed income like Trump is saying, and you know no tax on Social Security, there are tax avoidance opportunities that you can do, not tax evasion. Tax avoidance is encouraged. Reason why tax avoidance is encouraged, it allows you to put more money back into the economy, not the government. Big difference. So Trump, as he's talked here, he goes, this woman doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. She's clueless. In addition to that, now he's going to talk about, well, someone else is going to talk about what they may do to help Trump.
I have discussed with Trump the idea of a government efficiency commission.
Nice. Yeah.
And I would be willing to be part of that commission.
I wonder how hard that is.
The antibody reaction would be very strong.
Yes. Yeah.
So you really have to. You're attacking the Matrix at that point.
Ooh.
Matrix will fight back.
You're attacking the Matrix at that point. How aptly put, Elon Musk said. So today, Trump, let me see if I can find it. Trump basically came out and said that he welcomes Elon Musk into his administration should he be elected. Let me see if did I find it? No, I don't have it with me. But Trump came out and said that today. If he gets elected, he's bringing on Elon Musk into his administration, either as an advisor or, as he said, that special commission, and they're going to look at the business of the United States. And like he said, at that point, it's the Matrix, because Republicans and Democrats haven't wanted to have anything to do with that third rail of basically looking into what is the business of the United States. Too many times, $2 trillion lost here, a gazillion dollars lost overseas. Too many times we've heard the stories, and we've all said to ourselves, even in chat here, like, well, where's the money? How did it just disappear? And nobody goes to jail. Nobody even gets arrested. They don't even have investigations. Department of Defense lost $2 trillion. Oops. Sorry. But what do you mean lost? Billions going overseas to that guy over there fighting Putin. Billions. We made a accounting error. Oops, sorry. Yet the guy who runs a barber shop, the woman who runs a telephone answering service, if you said when the IRS comes to you, I lost it, can't find it, sorry, it won't work. Somebody needs to have the cojones to drill in and say, this department is full of fraud, full of errors, full of DEI, whatever it's full of, and say, let's just go ahead and excise that boil right out of the American government. You'll never, ever see a Democrat do that, and likely you won't see a Republican do it. That's why they're terrified of Trump. It goes both ways. They all have their hands in these different pockets as well. That's why they're probably taking a shot at the dude. Remember the last guys, Bobby K and John F. K. John F. K. wanted to basically do away with the three-letter agencies. Oh, he's dead. That is the matrix at that point. And I think at this point, Trump definitely knows, and Elon definitely knows that everyone's trying to take a shot at him, financially that is. These people know what's going on. You need to put yourself in the same position as guys like Elon, even though you don't have a gazillion dollars like he does, but you can work to avoid taxes. It's August right now. And if you see this coming, if you see the possibility of this coming, which is now being said to you, she dropped it today. Now that you know that this is what she wants to do, you need to prepare now. This is what Jason Miller said. He works with Trump. Here come the tax hikes. Bye-bye economic growth. Bye new hirings. No more investment. No more expansion. Onshoring and so much more. Harris proposes raising the corporate tax rate to 28%, rolling back a Trump law. Want to guess who gets the cost of these increased taxes on the corporations gets passed down to? Kamala Harris is declaring war on businesses. She is promising to tax them at a higher rate while also dictating their pricing with communist price controls. You can't have it both ways. You're going to fix my pricing and take more of my money. That is a recipe for destruction. That is destroying the American economy, and the communists and the nuts that follow her have no clue. You need to know in August right now what could happen if somehow this woman gets installed. You know, there's an old saying is basically take care of the downside. The upside will take care of itself. If Trump gets elected, we're fine. It's going to be okay. If he doesn't, it's going to be too late for you to do anything come January 21st or whatever. Too late. Way too late. And this was the article that NBC put out. Proposes raising the corporate tax rate to 28, rolling back a Trump law. She didn't even go on television, just issued a press release saying it. You can hear the bankers' phones ringing to move money out of the U.S. right now. Yeah. If they're making moves right now, shouldn't you be? You know, you can always bring it back if Trump wins. Hopefully. Pretty much, I think so. But that doesn't mean I'm waiting. It would be foolish not to get your affairs in order. If you're stuck, I understand it. But if you are in a position where you can move things around, now would be the time to start talking to a lawyer, start talking to your financial advisors, and start talking about your 401k, start talking about all of that and going, what can I do if this thing hits the fan? I'm telling you right now, if you trust me, you trust me. If don't, you don't. I'm going to be doing that. I'm already talking about it. You know, I run a lot of stuff for Lear Capital, gold and everything else. It's time. It is really time right now. Ring the bell, get ready, do something. Don't let this just happen. It's crazy. Steve Cortez says this: giant corporations never pay a tax rate even close to the top corporate tax level. They have way too many exemptions, loopholes, and tax lawyers. But small business does pay this rate, and Kamala wants to punish Main Street enterprises even more than she already has. That's a great point. Even more than she already has is because she's been in office for 3.5 years, and people have been punished. Now she's going for a knockout punch. I don't really know how more with emphasis I can tell you what will happen if you do both the price fixing and take more taxes. It's insane. It is the actual death of America personified. I'm not joking. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where people will get into breadlines. Like it says here, guess what? Corporations are going to pass that 28% on to consumers. They have absolutely no good reason to pay it themselves when they can just pass it on to the rest of us. And then Kamala is going to wonder why they're still raising prices. There's no easy way out of this. As we have said many times, you cannot vote your way out of communism. It is what it is. Do your research. Look at history. See what's going on. I can't even fathom that this came out of her mouth. I just don't understand. I don't understand how a politician would say, I'm running on the aspect of raising taxes. If you had done that 4 years ago, Trump would have been reelected in a landslide then. So now you're basically walking out there and telling people, yeah, I'm going to raise taxes. And I'm going to price fix. And I'm not done yet. And so I had the question, is this a real campaign? Is she serious? Because it's so head-snappingly nuts, most people would go, she's kidding, right? She's not going to do that. She's not going to try and make everybody end up at the same place, broke. She's not going to just on purpose create empty shelves and bread lines, would she? She wouldn't do that. Come on, she'd lose in a landslide. Then why are so many people behind Kamala Harris? Actors, entertainers. I'm like, what in the hell are you people thinking? Most of these actors and entertainers have LLCs and corporations for other businesses that they've diversified into. We know George Clooney has what's it, coffee or tequila company or something. You think he wants to pay 7 or 8% more taxes and have his prices fixed? That's a consumable good, so it would fall under the price fixing. And yet you go and you do a fundraiser for well, at that point it was Biden, but now you're okay with this? How come these celebrities and entertainers aren't as forceful in denouncing this stuff as they do in terms of wanting to raise money? It directly affects them. Hey, LeBron, talking about you. I know, I'm down here in South Florida. I know what you've done. I know some of the businesses that you run. I know you have a movie production studio. I know it doesn't make any sense. Why would you be okay with them taking more of your money? Doesn't make any sense. Irene says they plan to sabotage the power grids and poison the water supply in major U.S. cities just to kill more people. Yikes. Yikes. The DNC just cut voice on a singer. They said Kamala has a plan. DJT doesn't had to turn it off. Oh, I don't know what you mean there. Okay. Maybe Kamala really is a full-blown communist. Imagine if she were really good friends with Putin, which means Russia have a communist as a USA president. Wow, I hope Trump wins. I'm looking in here, and I just try to see, like Real Mendes says, 28%, that's ridiculous. Exactly, going from 21 to 28 is a 33% increase in your taxes. I want to know who these people are who say this is okay. Maybe they're not working and they think, they'll be able to get more bonbons and Cheetos. I mean, what happened to American people wanting aspiration, a better life? Like Trump says, the American dream is dead. And I think to a certain extent, the American dream is dead inherently in some people. I think people have stopped aspiring. They no longer even want it. They're going to eat the bugs and live in the pod and be happy. You own nothing. The WEF put that out there and I laughed. Who would want to do that? Who would want to eat the bugs, live in a pod, own nothing, and be happy? And I'm seeing these nuts. The young people. And I'm doing everything I can to make sure my grandkids like, hey, you don't look at this stuff. It's crazy. You get good grades. We're going to help you move forward. My grandson's 15. He's taking his driving license permit. We're going to get you, used car so you'll have in high school. And this is what happens when you do good. When you do good, you get rewarded. When you get rewarded, you get more rewards if you keep doing better. How are people missing that these days? Why is there just hopelessness in so many kids? That's what Trump is saying when he says the American dream is dead, because some of these kids don't even know it exists. You know, and she can't give away $25,000. Well, I forgot that one. We're going to give away $25,000 to everybody. Oh, it's all going to pay for itself. Obviously not. At this point, someone should be calling that out. Hey, Kamala, yesterday, on Sunday, you said all the stuff that you're doing is going to pay for itself. Why do you need 7% more money from corporations if it's going to pay for itself? If you're awake and reading your Bible, you know we are living the days of Noah. We best be praying like never before if Jesus is not returning this year. Ask God to keep Kamala out of the White House. Yeah, we're going to do our prayer. We're going to resume the prayer meeting on Thursday at 7, so we'll have that. Good point here. The American dream at this point has been given to the newcomers. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. The American dream is over for Americans. Yeah. Wait, Barry. Spot on narratives. It just doesn't make any sense. You know, I try to bring stuff to you guys and say, you know what? Here's some information I think you would like to see, and I try to give an opinion on it. But in this regard, the only opinion that you could possibly have, and that's a good idea, create your own economy. The only opinion that you could possibly gain from this is that they intentionally want to see the downfall of the United States. There's no upside. You can't go to producing Americans, people who are successful, and say, we're going to hurt you. We are purposely going to hurt you because these newcomers need more. Take back our equipment from the Taliban. Yeah, good luck with that one. Kamala is just trying to say everything and anything just to get in the White House. No one cannot believe anything she says. So dishonest and doesn't know anything she's doing. But yet, we're told, again, this lies, but still we're told Kamala is right neck and neck with Trump. And I'm thinking to myself, this would be the best. Can I run a political campaign like this? I could just sit here at my desk and go, yeah, I want to do this. Can we get an interview with you? Nope. I'm Oz. I am behind the curtain. I'm the great and wonderful Oz. Nobody gets in to see Oz because that's what she's doing. She's got the media out there being lackeys, and people are, talking about it. And Joy Reid, oh my God! And tonight it's so joyful. We got James Taylor singing "Fire and Ice" and all this stuff. And James, if you've made enough money from your career in the entertainment business, just go ahead and sell everything. The government should get all of your money, right? Because fair share. But they never say fair share about Democrats with money. What about Nancy Pelosi? Nancy Pelosi, there's a guy on X who tracks her trades on the stock market. She made $10 million last week. She made $10 million last week. $10 million. She's okay with this? You're telling me Nancy Pelosi, who somehow does, fake trades and everything else and makes all kinds of money, she's okay with this? Even Bernie, you know what? You've got that book that you wrote, and you're buying property all over the place. How does it not affect all these people? Amazingly, John Fetterman decided he's not going to the DNC. He's like, you guys with this Israel thing, I'm sorry, I'm Jewish. I'm out. You know who else is out? Every single person who's going to be talking tonight and tomorrow has decided they will not be at the DNC as she gets coronated. Biden and Jill talking tonight, and then they're done. They're out. They're not coming. Bill and Hillary, Michelle and I almost said Michelle and Michael, one and the same. Michelle and Barack, they're going to do their speech. They're out. They're not going to be there Thursday. Why is everybody at this point, all the bigwigs in this party, turning their back on Kamala? Could it possibly be that this is not a real campaign? I don't know. But I would think if you really wanted this person elected, number one, you would be telling her stop doing stupid stuff. Number two, you'd say get out there and make sure everybody knows what you're doing and talk to the press. Don't get them pissed off with you. And number three, I'd want to be there for her coronation to help her celebrate, show unity and support. And none of them are going to be there. No, we're not coming. Nah, nope. There's an obvious rift, yeah, in the Democrat Party. It's more of a chasm at this point. There's obviously something wrong. I don't know who upstairs is pulling the strings, whether it's Soros. I don't know who it is. But you can obviously see there's a gap right now for power in the Democrat Party. You got this woman saying the most insane stuff, not talking to people, and the contrast couldn't be clearer. This man's everywhere. He's talking, even some of the interviews I haven't shown you, like that clip, he's talking to people. I'll meet with anybody. You want to ask me a question, ask me a question. And you got this hibernating hyena who doesn't want to talk to anybody, making stupid statements and stupid proposals that the media is like laughing at her like she's a joke. And that just led me today to just look at this thing and go, if people are laughing at her and she's hiding, is this even real? Are we in an episode of Punk'd or Candid Camera? Is any of this actually real? I don't know. To this day, and I told you about the polls last week, and I'll talk to you about them this Friday, in terms of how the frequency of the numbers are coming out. They're coming out very slow. Still, most of them still haven't updated since I told you about it Friday. Why are you avoiding the numbers? Why does this entire thing look like AstroTurf? None of it seems real. I was gonna, basically show Joe's speech today and critique it, but if Trump's not doing the thing with Elon, I'm not doing it because it makes me sick to my stomach. I don't know if you saw him get on the plane today, Joe, with Jill, and remember how she's always been so right by his side? She didn't even look at him. I can't wait to see what happens tonight. She's like, I'm done with you now, okay? You go get someone else to change your diapers. I'm done. It was all facade. It didn't work with him. Now they're trying it with her. I hate her guts. Let's just do what we got to do so we can stay out of jail. The rock star has no top 10 hits. Hell, she ain't even a one-hit wonder. Trump continues to say he's up by a lot, which means he's getting the internal polls because he probably is. He probably is because they're doing all kinds of manipulation right now. I've showed you last week. I'll show you more this week. But as I opened the beginning of this video when David Axelrod, who's an Obamaite, says, she should be up by 4, 5, 6 in the national poll. Because if a Democrat isn't up in the national poll, every political operative knows it's game over. If you're not winning in the national poll because you're going to have the West Coast and you're going to have the East Coast, so the gross number, you should be up. If you're not up by at least 4 or 5 points in the national poll, you're done. Absolutely done. Before you dig in and start looking granular at the actual, battleground states. And Trump is all over Pennsylvania. He's going to be in Pennsylvania. He's going to be in Michigan. I don't know what she's doing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Trump is the real deal. Listen to Barry helps keep me sane. I just try to paint a picture and give you guys the information that you may need to go ahead and take a look at what's really going on. And when you compare it to everything we have seen historically, none of this makes any sense. I've never seen Biden, when it was during the pandemic and he was doing stuff from the basement, did more interviews than she's doing. So you can't even say, oh, she's running the same plan as Joe. No, I mean, he was doing interviews and talking to people through Zoom. She's not doing anything. Completely hidden. Except raking in a whole bunch of money. Love to see where that money's going. And we know they're paying some influencers and stuff. You wouldn't have to do, that's another thing. You wouldn't have to do that if you had natural appeal. Trump's not paying influencers. It's disgusting. And now you got the influencers out there making videos saying, she offered me 10 grand, offered me 5 grand. It's 5 grand, I got 10. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm just telling you, my feeling is something is about to break. I don't know what it is. Can't put my finger on it, but when there's so many things that don't make any sense, and she's floating out these grandiose proposals, $25,000 for everybody. Everybody gets a house, which mathematically doesn't make any sense at all. I even had one guy argue with me on X, and I go, you've never tried to buy a house, have you? You think it sounds good, but let me tell you, if you think that a $25,000 gifted down payment is good and you need that to buy a house, then you're not in a position to buy a house. Just saying. Just saying. And then I said to him, where you could buy a house with a $25,000 payment, you're not going to want to live. And he said that was blatantly false. And I'm like, do me a favor, go on Zillow. Maybe that makes a good video. I will show you tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to show you where you could buy a house based upon a certain mortgage payment. And remember, your mortgage payment is based upon your income. And your mortgage is based upon your credit. So even if you had $25,000, there's 2 or 3 other components to buying a property. You got to have the credit. You got to have the income. And you have to be able to find that property that fits that amount that you can afford. Again, you're not going to get a 90-10 mortgage unless you've got stellar credit. And even if you got a 90-10, that's only a $250,000 house. And most of the people who would find what she said appealing are living on the coast. And they're not going to find a property for $250,000. It just doesn't exist unless it's in the hood, a fixer-upper. And I'm like, this guy's arguing with me, and he has no clue. None. Yeah, you can go to FHA, and FHA will give you a 3.5% down, and 3.5% down if she's going to tie that 25 grand to the FHA. But then again, you've got limits according to where the properties are. If you guys think we should get into a discussion about how that would even apply, I'll do a video on it. I can share the real estate stuff inside. I can do that without any prep. It's real easy. So between the 25 grand down payment to everybody, including newcomers, and then she says the whole price fixing, and then she's just added, we're going to raise taxes. 3 things that would put a extremely high burden on American taxpayers. Extremely high. And she's not being shredded in the media? It doesn't make it. It just won't make any sense to me. I refuse to believe that someone would be running a campaign this way when it's so obvious. 90% of the people don't want to pay more taxes. She didn't issue any cutoff. She didn't say up until or if you make this much. Even Joe, when he was raising taxes, nobody under $400,000 will pay a dime more in taxes. She didn't say that. There was no asterisk. Oh, this only applies to businesses making over $10 million a year. She didn't say that. Listen to people when they tell you who they are. She did not give any codicils whatsoever about the increase in corporate tax. You got a corporation, she's going to tax you at 28%. And it won't stop there. It can't stop there because she can't pay for all the stuff that she wants to make sure everybody is, quote, even. All right, I'm going to go get some dinner. Thank you guys for tuning in on the second show tonight. This is some crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. We have another Trump speech, I believe, tomorrow at 2:30, and then I'll have the normal show at 7 p.m. Thank you for tuning in. Love you guys.